Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Saivan Ebier. I will be presenting this webinar dedicated to pay TV operator strategies when it comes down to content, looking in particular into vertical integration. So let's start first with a quick introduction of the Taxisys activities. We are a market research and events company covering all regions of the world. Our intelligence service provides indicators on TV, OTT, telecom, technologies markets. And we provide our clients with quarterly and forecasted figures for all the countries and all the regions. And we also organize events in Europe, Latin America, and Africa that are dedicated to the same topics. And finally, we publish an online newsletter dedicated to the sector's evolutions in Africa and Latin America. So all the data that will be used in this presentation comes from the Taxisys database. And all the topics that are addressed during the presentation, pay TV distribution, SVOD, streaming services, connectivity, all these topics will also be discussed during our conference that is taking place in Berlin in 2 weeks and that is covering all Europe. And the presentation is recorded and the PowerPoint will also be shared with the participants and on the website. So today we wanted to address the question of strategies that are deployed by pay TV operators regarding content investments and vertical acquisitions. The increasing budgets of media companies are topics regularly discussed because they have an impact on many actors in the value chain, and because more and more large players are getting involved in the video content production and distribution, and these actors have strong ambitions. And I'm thinking, of course, of Netflix, Amazon, Apple, among other actors. So the webinar starts with an observation. OTT subscribers and revenues are rising, and operators' traditional activities are challenged on the global scale. And here and during the presentation, we refer to OTT for over-the-top video as the addition of SVOD and OTT pay TV. SVOD is the distribution of a video catalog online, granting unlimited access through a subscription. And OTT pay TV is the distribution of a traditional pay TV package, but instead of being distributed through satellite, cable, IPTV, it's distributed through IP, so on the internet. And traditional pay TV will refer to DTH, so satellite, cable, IPTV operators. So we have on the one side the pay TV subscribers that are expected to grow more slowly in coming years on the chart on the left, and the pay TV revenues expected to stagnate on the global scale on the right. And on the other side, the growth in SVOD and OTT pay TV markets is forecasted to remain steady and even to accelerate in the next 5 years. And we have subscribers and revenues that are following the same trajectory. The relative weight of OTT in subscribers and in revenues differs slightly because the offers are less costly than traditional pay TV offers. So to sum up, the OTT and SVOD remain a portion of pay video globally, but operators in these two technologies, operating these two technologies, are catching up rapidly, and the strongest growth is observed in this segment. But we know that initiatives are contrasted when we have a look at the situation in each country. So not all markets are the same. They're not developing at the same pace, with the same level of competition, and with the same levels of revenues. So we see that OTT has grown to significant levels in several regions. Here we have the weight of OTT revenues in the total pay video and pay TV markets. And the pay OTT video revenues comprise of SVOD, OTT pay TV, and transactional VOD. So OTT revenues represented 15% in North America, 19% Europe and Asia, 4% Middle East Africa, 9% in Latin America. And what can be surprising here in this map is the higher share observed in Europe compared to North America. And this comes from the overwhelming weight of North America in global pay TV revenues. North America, which represents only 5% of the global population, accounts for more than half of total pay TV revenues generated in the world. This ratio, population pay TV revenues, is similar in Europe, but it's significantly less unbalanced, and it's the opposite in Africa, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. And the differences in OTT revenues come from the region specificities. North America and Latin America are characterized by an important broadband penetration and high prices of pay TV offers. So in this context, OTT offers have value and they constitute attractive alternatives to a traditional video. In Europe, there are strong differences between Western Europe, so Latin countries, UK, Germany, Scandinavia, where markets are advanced, and Central Eastern Europe, where linear TV is still dominant today. Asia Pacific is a very heterogeneous region with strong leading platforms in some countries, in China, Australia, or in regions like Southeast Asia. And in Middle East and Africa, it can be split into two. Sub-Saharan Africa, the broadband penetration remains low, and the lack of connectivity that is associated here with the low GDP per capita makes it difficult for a significant OTT video market to emerge. This is where, if we accept South Africa, where there we witnessed a boom in connectivity over the past 2 years. And in Middle East, GCC countries are the most advanced in terms of connectivity and purchasing power. And in these regions, many OTTs addressed to expatriates have been launched. So there is an increasing number of platforms launching in every part of the world. And in the presentation, numbers are aggregated for the whole world. But in fact, the regions weighting the largest parts are North America, Western Europe, and there's potential in Latin America. And this is also why examples in the presentation will also come mainly from these regions. So with the possibilities that are triggered by OTT distribution and that are pushed by the rising competition, also taking advantage of OTT distribution, operators are adapting their strategy. They have been since the past years. And the changes have been done around two axes. First, the changes triggered by the technology, the OTT technology. This allows the development of more functionalities, so catch up, enhanced TV experience. And then there are the changes triggered by OTT actors, the newly launched actors, and their positioning in the market. This positioning is creating new expectations from the subscribers. So operators have been reacting to these two types of changes. First, using the technology to enhance their offers. So here we took the example of TV Everywhere. And this is usually the first OTT service that was deployed by the operators. It's aimed at existing subscribers, and it enables catch-up or live streaming of the programs that are already broadcasted on traditional TV, on the existing pay TV offer. And the service can be enabled on multiple devices. It can be a paying service, but usually it is part of the subscription to the cable, DTH, IPTV offers. And on the global scale, we see that the majority of operators haven't deployed the service or not to their entire subscriber base, but it is widespread in Americas and in Europe in 2018. Then the operators are also reacting to changes in habits and expectations coming from subscribers. And this includes expectation of a lower price, of more flexibilities in the offers that are proposed. So being able to cancel anytime, for instance, to select fewer channels, all this flexibility development that can be done. And reacting to that, operators have launched what are called the skinny bundles. So smaller pay TV packages that are distributed through OTT. It's the case for Sky with Now TV, DirecTV Now, or Sling from Dish, for instance. And we see here with the chart in the middle that when we talk about OTT pay TV, the distribution of channels on the internet, most subscribers chose an offer coming from what we also call here a traditional pay TV operator. Then the habits, the changes in expectations also have impact on average revenue per user. Cord cutting from the most premium subscribers is weighing on ARPUs. And it's the same for cord shaving, so the reduction of options taken by subscribers, and therefore the reduction of the final bill paid by the subscribers. And globally, competition of lower priced offers is also weighing on ARPUs, and here we can see it on the blended ARPU, the IPTV and the DTH. And on the opposite, the OTT ARPUs are increasing. And another characteristic, another main competitive point of these new players launching in the market is their distinctive and exclusive content distributed. And this is also something that is affecting operators. This is why this is what we'll try to analyze deeper in the webinar, trying to understand the content strategies deployed today, their results, and the tools that can be used for operators if they decide that content shouldn't be the core of their strategy. So when we look at pay TV actors, first we notice that the main players on the global scale are US actors. And this comes from what I was mentioning earlier. North America accounts for most revenues globally. So this ranking is logical as the actors here operate in the most lucrative market. Then other players comprise of international actors present in a range of countries, Telefónica, Canal+, Liberty Global, Deutsche Telekom, Orange are present in several countries in Europe, in Africa, Latin America, depending on the actor. And these operators don't have a unique profile. Their distribution can be made through all technologies. The only thing that we observe is a growing share of IPTV and OTT since a few years. And they're also getting involved in the SVOD distribution. This is what we see in the second chart. The actors in red are actors that are also involved in the pay TV distribution. And if we keep looking at the SVOD players, the other actors include, of course, Netflix, Amazon, Disney, but also right holders like Major League Basketball, WWE, and broadcasters. And what we can say is that this market, the SVOD market, is not as mature as the pay TV one. And in fact, the number of platforms continues to increase with the multiplication of standalone D2C offers. So here D2C stands for direct to consumer. The D2C services aren't related to another service. It's possible to subscribe only and directly to it. And there's no intermediary such as a pay TV operator. We observe that more and more content providers are going D2C. Studios, production houses, sports right holders, for instance. And the objective for them is theoretically to create a direct relationship with their customers to earn 100% of the subscription price because of the disappearance of the subscription fee. And some genres are more affected than others. Here we wanted to highlight the movies and fiction and sports. We see that the platform, that is all the platforms that are holding the largest market share in terms of subscribers and revenues are distributing movies and fiction. And this is a segment where content providers such as studios or TV broadcasters are the most likely to cut the relationship with distributors and to start distributing the content themselves. And as a consequence to this, we started to observe the shutdown of several movies or series TV channels. Then we have sports platforms. They haven't reached the same size yet, mostly because operators remain well positioned in rights acquisition, as we'll see in the next slides. And also because live content remains the norm and requires investments in technology. But this could change in the coming years as IP broadcast also allows enhanced functionalities for the distributors. And this is also an area where content drives subscriptions, and right holders are aware of that. And this is why major right holders, secondary leagues, and minor right holders are likely to launch their D2C service and address their consumers directly. And now if we look at the SVOD actors more in details, so Netflix market share in revenues is largely superior to its market share in terms of subscribers. This is because of the lower price competition in other regions of the world. And in fact, the price of a platform like Netflix is highly competitive in North America, where pay TV ARPUs reach around $100 per month. But in other regions, including Europe and especially Eastern Europe, the price isn't as competitive and disruptive, and OTT services that are really disruptive are less costly. Then the second actor is Baidu, operating Iki in China. Then comes Amazon, present almost everywhere in the world. Amazon's video service is useful to increase its users' loyalty, to maintain them on the e-commerce platform. Then we see major studios, content providers such as Disney, Warner Media. They own the most important catalogs, and we'll focus on them more in details later in the presentation. And then we have a wide range of actors that keep increasing in the whole world. And if we look at revenues by type of platform, we have the TV network label, which refers to SVOD actors also editing channels, or the opposite, actors with a long experience in content production and acquisition. And this falls in the standalone D2C actors. And for instance, Disney with Disney Plus will fall in this category. But it's the same for Discovery or Viacom, all the big US networks and also European networks that are fully embracing the digital strategy. Then we have pay TV and network, actors already integrated with pay TV distribution and channels edition, offering alternative ways to reach for their customers to reach their content with the online option. And we also added a GAFA category for Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple, comprising, in fact, essentially of Amazon for now. But things are changing rapidly, and we're waiting for the first results of Apple Plus. So this provides an overview of the size and ambitions of players, and we see that operators have invested channels edition, SVOD distribution. So this supposes, in many cases, a vertical integration, and it can go through acquisition to start. So the vertical integration refers to the integration of the supply chain of a company. So here on this market, the pay TV operators that distribute external channels themselves aggregating content from production companies will operate a vertical integration by acquiring either one of them or both, the channels, the production companies. The integration can be done through M&A or the direct investments. So we look at involvements in channels edition, involvements in content production, rights acquisition for their own distribution. And here we selected examples of acquisitions that took place in North America and in Europe over the past 6-7 years. Most of them were discussed very loudly. And we have a few categories of actors. The major pay TV players, AT&T and Comcast. Then we have European pay TV players, Liberty Global, Telia, Telenor. And we have studios or networks, Disney, Lionsgate, Discovery, Viacom. What we notice is that the vertical acquisitions are happening more and more frequently. Being the owner of content and controlling the complete value chain seem to have more and more relevance for players in the market. And the players in the market are growing rapidly in size, in weight on the total market. There is a series of reasons explaining the importance for them to take control of the value chain. First, with D2C possibilities, some content providers are withdrawing their content from their distributors' platforms. This is what Disney did, for instance, for some platforms. So this leaves less content available for distributors. Then the multiplication of actors involved in content distribution, D2C content providers, GAFA, means that actors are fighting for the most valuable rights. And prices are booming in the two genres that we observed previously, in movies and fiction and in sports. We saw the price of competition increasing rapidly in the two genres. So this means that the content available to license is scarcer, more and more expensive. And in addition, there is no guarantee that it will stay in the platform as long as wanted. So to cope with this, one of the solutions is to become the owner of the content. It allows to differentiate from competition with content to increase loyalty to the proprietary shows. And the other advantages proper to vertical integration include synergies, economies of scale for the whole company, a better shared information between distributors who own the relationship with subscribers and between them and the producers, lower transaction costs, for instance. And here we also see that there have been a range of horizontal acquisition as well. And with this type of acquisition, the goal is to reach a significant size, a scale. So it concerns actors that don't put as much value in content and that don't necessarily look at video as a standalone business, as it was said by the CEO of Charter. So if content is crucial, investments, content spending, and programming costs are logically following. Here, the budgets that we put include investments and programming costs, all merged together to give an idea of the amount invested in content. Disney invested around $22 billion in 2018, financing productions for the studio, TV channels, Hulu, Disney Plus, launching in a few days. AT&T spent around 14 billion, but there is also a studio. The SVOD service HBO Max is expected next year. Amazon spent around 7 billion in music and video, and Netflix is only operating the SVOD service. That's what we can see here, and yet its budget is comparable to actors with multiple activities. It was reaching around 12 billion in 2018. And this is because the company focuses on originals to fill its catalog and increase loyalty. And for Apple, the budget is for 2019. So the list isn't complete, but it gives an overview of the massive investments that are unlocked by these players to maintain, to improve their position. So European players also have to cope with these media giants. And among the benefits of their size, we count the availability of a significant amount of data regarding usage that allows precise data analysis, and it allows the companies to tailor production to the findings that they have, to their findings in terms of consumers' behavior. Then they have the possibility to amortize risk in multiple countries to produce premium niche content that will find its audience globally. But there are also integrations in Europe, and the local vertical acquisitions benefits include cost efficiency. So economies vary widely, and local players are more adapted to their markets in terms of costs. So we see that size isn't the most important criteria in Europe. What is important is a position on the market at the country level. And even for mergers and acquisitions, there are valuable synergies between TV broadcasting, and pay TV distribution. It allows to secure the content flux, to reduce affiliate fees disputes, to valorize targeted advertising on the network if that's a service that is deployed by the operator. But all of this is mostly true when we don't count cinema and series, because we see here that American productions are still very attractive among European viewers. And operators continue to invest in sports rights in Europe. Among the operators' position on sports distribution, there is Movistar in Spain, Sky and DAZN in Italy, Austria, Germany, SFR, Canal Plus in France, for instance. So many actors remain active despite the rise of prices, but this is becoming challenging, and some actors pulled out of the race, like Vodafone in Spain or Mediaset Premium in Italy. So if operators withdraw and decide not to fight for the content because fighting on the content level is too expensive, another option for operators is the content aggregation. The idea is that D2C platforms are numerous. Households won't subscribe to every platform directly. And operators already have access and relationships with their subscribers. And this is even more true when the pay TV is associated with a broadband subscription. And we see here that multiple play is crucial for operators. Most pay TV revenues were captured in 2018 by operators that also offer a broadband connection. And while the actors without broadband was seeing their revenues decrease in 2018, the actors that were offering internet saw their revenues increase on the global scale. And we also see D2C platforms partnering with more and more pay TV operators to have their platform distributed on the operator's set-top boxes. So this gives them the opportunity to address a larger potential user base, and sometimes from the launch of the platform, without the costly investments in marketing and subscribers acquisition that would be required otherwise. So operators on SVOD platforms are implementing more and more distribution agreements. And here we have examples for Netflix and Amazon. So it means that operators can gather a wide range of services, offer access to the SVOD actors, looking at them as complements to their offer rather than competition. But this direction requires also strong commercial and technical investments. Because a certain number of functionalities can be expected from the aggregator. The catch-up of existing channels. Well, this is something that has been deployed in most offers already, but also the access to third-party applications and services. This is the access to Netflix, all the D2C services. Search and recommendation. This is crucial in a context of multiplication and fragmentation of offers. Customers want to find easily the content that they're looking for, and more. They want the content should be tailored to their usage, to their needs. So this doesn't come automatically, and this requires investments from operators. And the definition, the adequate delivery of definition is also important. Content definition is improving. Operators must follow, and the delivery needs to be adapted to the increasing size of content. The rise of Android TV can be seen as a convenient solution for operators. Because it allows OTT features, advanced functionalities with a system that is compatible with most services, but it also raises questions regarding personalization of the offer, independence, duration of the agreements. And then there are also our drawbacks of aggregation. Aggregators are competing with smart TVs. Smart TVs are the devices connected to the internet, granting access to a wide range of applications. And they make up most of the sales in the recent years, most of the TV sales. So we see that at the moment, set-top boxes aren't as fragmented as smart TVs, and the platform's development to achieve compatibility are not as complex, as frequent as they are for smart TVs, but this is something that could also evolve in the coming years. And another risk for operators is lies on revenues, because the fees collected from applications are not comparable to channels distribution, and it differs, of course, depending on each negotiation, and the strongest platforms will be in the most powerful positions, and revenues from distribution are most likely expected to decrease with a model based on aggregation. So to summarize, consolidation is expected to continue to achieve a range of goals: scale, control of production, and value chain analysis of consumers' behaviors, among other goals. At the same time, there is an increasing number of players, but it will most likely be difficult for them, except for the largest ones, to rely entirely on their direct distribution because of acquisition costs and because of technical developments. And this supports the role of pay TV as aggregators. They have the advantage of gathering platforms on one device, but they can also generate less revenues from channel distribution. But we see, nonetheless, that the TV set remains the central device to watch video content. And for certain operators, the value might lie in other services, such as broadband, which is not pressured like the other activities of operators. The convergence media telecom is expected to continue in coming years, and this represents a valuable asset for distributors. Then then other segments can also represent outlets like devices or even video games, like the one that was launched by Netflix. And finally, cooperation is a strategy that can have results in coming years with mutualization of costs or co-productions for smaller platforms. So as I said, All these topics will be discussed by European actors in our conference that is taking place in Berlin in 2 weeks. And if you have questions on the conference or on our intelligence offer, don't hesitate to contact me. And if you have questions on the presentation, you can type them down and I should receive them. When will this presentation be available? The presentation will be available tomorrow on our website. And my email address is right here. Okay, so I see that there are no other questions. Of course, if you have questions and you want to email them to me, I can also reply. If you have remarks or anything, don't hesitate to write me an email. So thanks everyone. And as I said, don't hesitate to write me an email if you have questions, comments, remarks. And for those who are attending the Berlin conference, I hope we can meet there. Thanks again. Have a nice day, evening.